And so the other day, we were in a room full of people presenting on how to respond versus react, how to stay calm, how to name how we want to show up, how to make that happen. And out of nowhere, one of the participants starts showing some real emotions and starts to feel some real emotions to the point where
Mm-hmm.
she walks past you and I and
Mm-hmm.
begins crying and begins a whole conversation we never imagined. Let's talk about that, Chris.
Welcome to Live Fully, Lead Authentically, a Brimstone coaching group podcast. I'm Chris Godfredson, and you just heard a little anecdote from my friend and coaching partner, Kurt Bush. Kurt, what more can we say about that experience?
Yeah, let's set the scene a little more than we could in the
Yeah.
intro. So you and I, we were talking to a group of paramedic students
Mm-hmm.
about how to be more responsive than reactive and how to lead well, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think what's important to know about this group, especially in the context of our conversation today, is that this is a pretty mixed group. Like some of
Mm-hmm.
these people in the group are active EMTs. They are, actively doing the work that they're, well, obviously not all the work, but they're actively participating in the work
Mm-hmm.
that is going to lead into higher training that they're doing.
Yeah.
Others were like kids right out of high school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to use that kids is probably not the right word
Yeah,
there.
it's
They're
yeah,
kids.
I know.
And then the person in question is a mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yep.
I we don't know all of her story, but what we do know is that she's like doing this. This was an 8 p.m. class,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a mom trying to better
Yeah.
herself, trying to get a degree in this field to sort of make a difference, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Yep.
kind of what they were all doing. And I don't remember even what struck the nerve, other than um, yeah. Do you remember what struck? Before I keep going, do you
Yeah,
remember what
yep.
struck a
No,
nerve?
that's good. So, listener, the way that we think that learning happens best is through a transformational learning model where you get a little bit of information. So, on this in this evening, we had two content sessions. And so we give a little bit of content, then we gave people an opportunity to sit with and to reflect on the things that they heard. And then we bring people back and we have a little debriefing time. Well, some of the, as is true in every group setting, some people engaged in a debriefing session, others didn't. Our friend didn't. And then after the next content session, when we were going to send them to another time of solitude, the nerve that was struck was, well, here I put all these things on paper, and now we're not even going to talk about it. What
Yeah,
what
yeah,
what are we doing? And like then I think our shared response was, well, let's talk about it.
yeah, yeah,
And we did.
yeah,
and we
yeah,
and we did, and she did. And many of the participants left the space. They went to another spot in the building for the sake of having their quiet, alone processing time. But a couple of people stayed in the room, and there they got to watch as we helped her think through and talk about what her struggles were. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And she said a lot of the same things that
Mm,
we hear often,
yep.
and rightfully so. I think we would have said this too. Like one of the things she said was, I've thought about these things before, and now I have to think about these things again.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the content was, what are the negative stories you tell about yourself? The first sort of content piece we did with the group was
Yeah.
around the idea that the pass rates for these paramedic exams is really low,
Yeah.
and we were trying to get at like, okay, well, is part of this low pass rate this negative story that students say about, well, I'm bad, I'm a bad student, I don't take tests
Yeah.
well, I'm not going to pass anyway. What are the negative stories? And one of the things that stood up for this person was, I'm a bad mom, or one
Yeah.
of the negative stories was, I'm robbing my family, or
Yeah.
her being there in
Being here
that
is
space,
selfish.
yeah, being there is selfish. And what we find is, reflection, space to reflect, intentional quiet space stirs up a lot for, I mean, that's the point, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that there's always a question of like, how much of that reflection time do people want to like dive in, or what stirs up for them?
Hmm.
Everything, everyone has a different experience of that time.
Yeah.
I had someone describe quiet reflection as like one of those old 50s toys where you have a can with snakes in it, and like
Oh yeah.
sometimes in quiet reflection, you can like accidentally take the lid off too fast and all the snakes pop out.
Yeah.
And sure, that was maybe this person's experience
Yeah.
in that moment, was like, holy smokes, I'm feeling all of these negative stories. I've been carrying these
Yeah.
around, and the gift of it was like, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
And I think the punchline we'll get to is like, I think there was actual fruit of those conversations. Uh,
Hmm.
but what we want to talk about today specifically, and I don't think we want to rehash this whole conversation, but there was one
Hmm.
particular part of this participant's words I think stood out to both of us, and
Hmm.
are worth talking about. So the fear or the negative story that this person carried again was, I'm here, my family's at home, my kid has a Christmas concert next week, and I'm gonna miss it because I'm gonna be at this class,
Yeah.
right? And I don't want to sound like any of our conversation. I don't want it to sound like we are cold or callous, but those are the
No.
facts, right? Those are the facts.
Hmm.
And one of the questions, I don't remember. I think you asked it. I don't remember who asked it, but one of the questions was around capacity,
Hmm.
this idea of like, in this season where you, a participant, are in this course enrolled, which means you can't do other things.
Hmm.
What does it mean to give what does it look like to give 100% um, to anything? And
Yeah.
is it possible? And how do we measure what we're giving our attention to, and what's enough? And how do we manage even the shame voices? I don't know. How else would you set that up, Chris?
I don't know that I need to set it up any differently than that. There's great tension, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When we feel as though we're being pulled in seven directions. Like we have a life to live, which means that maybe if we're doing our best, like 14.3% goes to each of those seven things to get to 100.
Yeah. Did you do that
And
math just now?
I'm a baseball guy, so I know when you're 1 for 7, you're hitting 143. If
Okay.
it was one
Yeah.
out of 8, you're hitting 125.
Oh,
If it's one out
that's
of
amazing.
6, you're hitting 167. There you go.
That's
Um,
amazing.
well, all right. And people make a lot of money with terrible batting averages like that these days. So,
See, I know hitting
but
1 out of 4 really easily, or one out
yeah,
of
I
three, but
know,
you get
right?
into that
Yeah,
other stuff. That's
I
wild.
got into the weeds.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, right? And we live in this in a time when we are pulled. I don't know that it's any different than when uh, I don't know, when our parents were our age or our grandparents were our age. The pull just probably felt different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know that information moved as fast or as quickly as it does today, but in this day and age, that we are pulled in so many different directions that we think that it's possible to give all of our energy to
Yeah.
all the things all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And in this conversation, like the phrase that was used over and over again is, I just have a ton of mom guilt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And well, okay, but you have a life to live. And I think some part of the conversation, right, was the years. So I can say this now with our 20-year-old, almost 21, in her third year of college. Like everybody's up and out And so
Yeah.
those years, those that time when your kids are home is precious and it's fleeting. And we have a life to live.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there will be a time when they're not here any longer. And so that's why like there I don't feel like there's anything wrong with pursuing greater or increased education for help for the sake of the world, to help other people to have a clear sense of calling and purpose and and what's the center, or who is the center of the universe. And the expectation that so often we have is, I don't know, I'm the center of the universe. And so if you aren't giving me your full attention, well, you have a problem and I make it your problem. And so we tried to have a conversation about what might it be like to extend yourself some grace, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I don't know, I think at some point, I think we probably have both learned or heard this somewhere along the way. But for me, I think it was in time with a coach who helped me see the reality that I cannot give 100%. I
Yeah.
don't have 100% to give every single day. Some
Yeah.
days I'm sick, I'm under the weather. I show up and I feel at about 80% capacity.
Yeah.
And so then the question becomes, can I give 100% of the 80 that I have to give today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And uh, is that how you remember the conversation to a degree?
It's absolutely how I remember the conversation.
Yeah.
Um,
So
go ahead.
what's the power from your perspective? What's the usefulness of being able to understand or realize that I have 14.3% that I can give to these seven things, or that I might only be at 80% capacity today?
Yeah.
What's useful about that information for the
Yeah. I mean,
listener?
yeah. I mean, I think what it is for me, like it's hugely freeing. Freeing from shame is what it is.
Yes.
Like the shame. I don't look. I don't know where the source of this shame comes from. Like it's impossible for me to try to speculate where mom guilt comes from in this
Yeah.
person. I sometimes even have a hard time understanding where my shame comes from when I think about the
Sure.
ways I give my time. But
Hmm.
when I think about the reality of like I'm going to give 100% of what I can,
Hmm.
that for me is the first step of removing the like, well, I'm not doing enough, or I'm not dad enough, or I'm, what, like
Hmm.
there's always a question of where do we want to give our time, right? Like that's always a part of these conversations. But
Yeah.
once that decision has been made, like this person that we were talking to felt deeply that she was supposed to be in this paramedic class, right?
Hmm.
That there
Yeah.
was a deeper purpose for her in this paramedics class. And,
Hmm.
and I think in a vocation like that, I think that's hugely important, right?
Yeah.
To feel like this work I'm doing is beyond me. Um,
Hmm.
I think the reality is that once that's been established, like once that like this is where I'm supposed to be, this is where I want to be. Um,
Hmm.
now, I mean the work of saying there's going to be places where I can't, I'm going to miss a concert, right?
Yeah.
Um, like being able to name that and say out loud, I would even say it out loud or write it down.
Hmm.
This this is a season, right? This
Yes.
is a season,
Hmm.
and in this class case, 1 year, right?
Yeah.
I am going to miss one concert.
Yeah.
That does not make me a bad parent, right? It factually is true. Uh,
Yeah.
but I also am going to invest the 80% I can in other, maybe that missing concerts is the 20%, but my goodness, I'm still going to invest in all of these other places that are meaningful, that have purpose, have meaning, that actually impact my kids' lives. Like I can do those things full on
Yeah.
100%. And I think sometimes when I get stuck in dad guilt, whatever my version of that
Right.
is.
Hmm.
Now that takes away from the 80%, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Because now I'm trying to protect against my guilt and my shame, right?
Yep.
So being able to name and realize I can give 100% of the 80, it frees me up from getting stuck into trying to remove the load of feeling shame and guilt. Does that make
Mm.
sense? Like,
I think so.
yeah,
Yeah. Can I ask a question or two?
yeah, yeah,
I'll ask the second one based upon the first one, but you said like you don't have any idea, and I don't know that either of us has an idea where the shame came from for her, other than it probably was some way in which she made a choice to protect herself unconsciously as a child, right? So we think about these things as protective promises. And so then I wonder, as I was listening to you, that it seemed to me like there was a preferred promise in there that you were able to exercise, and like it's eluding me in the moment how you said it, but um, there's a way that I actually can show up, that
yeah,
it aligns with who and how I want to be in the world, rather than dad guilt or mom guilt
yeah,
or any
yeah,
shame of
yeah,
like I'm present,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here,
yeah,
and it's this. Oh, here it was. This is a season.
yeah,
See. So there's I think there's significant impact on the way I behave when I can access and just remind and tell myself this is a season.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you agree?
100%. 100%.
Hmm.
I think indefinite missing, just to use the example, indefinite missing of concerts, it's a different conversation, right?
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Yeah, I'm
here's a,
I'm
here's,
I'm finding a way to be busy every time there's a concert.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh okay.
Yeah. So here's an example. I don't know that this gets at the season as much, but I remember so clearly before doing any of this work, like before I knew anything about emotional intelligence or preferred promises or anything like well before
Yeah.
that, uh, I remember being with my wife picking out car seats
Mm,
um, for our kids. So like 16 years ago, right? And
yeah.
I get car seats are different today than they were 16 years ago, but I remember so clearly standing looking at a $50 car seat over here and a $500 car seat over here. And I remember so clearly the messaging of like, good parents buy the $500 car seat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
wasn't I mean, that wasn't the words, but that is the messaging, right?
Yeah. Right.
Um, I remember so clearly that parent guilt of like, well, I want to love my kids, so why am I buying the $50 car seat? You
Because I
know?
want to put diapers on their rear ends and feed them food.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But I
And
think
other
it's
things.
I think there's so many of those sources
Hmm.
that if we can even chip away at some of those by saying this is a season, it takes away some of the power. It takes
Yes,
away
sir.
all of the power of that.
Yes. Yep.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I think I told you I wasn't going to bleep anymore on podcasts, but I'm going to
Oh,
use
yeah.
I'm going to curse. Uh,
Uh-oh.
I love Ron Swanson, the character.
Yeah.
So much so that I quote Ron Swanson a lot.
I think
Um,
I made you quote Ron Swanson with her, didn't I?
you did.
Sorry
You
about it.
made me.
Yeah, I
Uh,
did.
s- so
Different
here's
quote or same one?
same one, same one.
Okay, perfect.
And the listeners probably heard it before. The quote,
Mm,
Ron Swanson looks at Leslie Knope and says, "Don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing."
hmm.
And like there are multiple things in our lives, but I think this gets at the thing you just said about being present. My preferred promise is I'm present and I'm
Yeah.
going to whole-ass the one thing, even if it's 80%, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. And so when I think about it in her case, I'm going to give everything I have to this course on this night.
yeah.
And I believe she did that.
Yeah, same.
She engaged in the reflection time, and then when She's like, we aren't even going to talk about this. And we invited the conversation. She kept, she stayed in the conversation.
Yeah.
She didn't
Yeah.
resist. She didn't push away. I would say she fully engaged, which I really
100%.
appreciated. It was so much fun to see,
Yeah.
oh, like maybe the light bulb turned on or the
Yeah.
switch was flipped or the
Yeah.
heaviness left her as she was able to say for herself some of these things, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of uh, whole assing what is in front of you in that one moment. And
Yeah.
so then you
Yeah.
can go home to to your point, I think that now I can go home and be fully present at home,
Yeah.
not having to walk back and say, "Boy, I didn't show up at that class very well," and leave school with regret and remorse and shame. And so,
Yeah.
like, this is the
Yeah.
power of shame. It
Yeah.
just keeps us
Yeah.
stuck. And
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter where you find yourself. You're experiencing it all the time. So
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be able to engage fully, to be fully present wherever we are present, is a present to everybody around us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're 100% right. She showed up so well in hard conversations and allowed us to
Yes.
ask pretty hard conversations or hard questions.
Questions.
Uh, she did that better than like a lot of people that I talk
Right.
to, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I want to give this person as much
Yeah.
as
It
many
was
kudos as
it
possible.
was it was fantastic
Yeah.
because I believe that that was authentically her.
Yes.
I mean, the frustration,
Yes.
but what happened is I think she was able to get clear on who and how it is that she wants to be in this
Yeah.
season of her life. And
Yeah.
that, if that stuck for her, was huge.
Yeah. Yeah. This was
The transformational impact
yeah.
is huge. And like, so I've talked about this in another setting. And here's what I want to say about I want paramedics to be uh, as fully educated and as fully themselves as they're able to be if and when I have a heart attack and I'm on a gurney
Yeah.
getting wheeled into an ambulance. I want those people to have done their work
Yeah. Yeah.
so that like that it's me they're caring for and not themselves that they're losing their mind over, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like the impact of the conversation, that 20-minute conversation we had with her is I think exponential. And it's not just for her, it was for us.
Yeah.
And it was for the other person or
Yeah.
two who was in the space to be able to say, "Oh, this is what it's like."
Yeah.
And yeah, the reality is uh, even if you're listening to this podcast, you can begin to do some of this work yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a moment, and then I'm going to ask you how they can begin to do that work.
I was
But
gonna do that,
I
but go
know
ahead. Yeah.
there was a moment you know, you use the word like see the light bulb or the aha
Mm-hmm.
moment. Um, like this is textbook protective promise where
Mm.
like something in her, um, I think probably a combo of encounters
Mm-hmm.
and like cultural pressure because that's you know
Yeah.
the car seat advertisers. There's so much of those combined.
Mm-hmm.
Something in her just didn't allow her to even consider like, oh, 100% of 80%, that could be okay. Like, it's
Yeah.
not because she's a bad thinker. It's not because
Mm-mm.
it's just because those protective promises are so strong and so ingrained, and the behaviors we do because of them are so autopilot and default, and
Yeah.
they're so prevalent that we have a we can't even get out of them to see like, oh, there's another way possible. So I think
Exactly.
that was the beauty of that conversation. It's like, oh, I don't think I've ever thought about this before, and this
Mm-hmm.
feels pretty great,
Yeah. Yep. I
or
think
has the
about that.
potential to feel pretty great.
Right. It has the potential to feel pretty great. And I think about that as we're early in 2026 now. And the opportunities that lie ahead of us are infinite.
Yeah.
And you don't have to achieve everything in this first week or two of 2026. Like, give 100% of what you have to give to the thing that you're doing, even if
Yep.
you only have, even if you're operating at 45% capacity,
Yeah.
give that 100% of your energy or your attention while you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
that's the way. And the best way to do that, I think, is with a coach. And so as you think about your life in the coming year, how would people interact with the Brimstone Coaching Group, Kurt?
Yeah, that's a great question, Chris. Yeah, so on our website is the best way, brimstonecoachinggroup.com. On the homepage, there's a button that says book a call. There is a way to book a call. It's a 30-minute call. It's 100% free. We call it an inquiry call.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way for people to check us out and have a conversation and say, here's what I wonder about. Here's what I'm working through. Here's what I want to know more about. Is this a good fit? And if it is a good fit, we'd love to enter into a coaching relationship. And if not, we'd love to help you find a coach that is a
Mm-hmm.
good fit. So that's the easiest and best way. We also write a lot on LinkedIn. If people want to get a
Yep,
glimpse of how we think and how we approach coaching, LinkedIn is the best way to do that. Links to our LinkedIn. That's a lot of links.
it
Links
is.
to our LinkedIn accounts will be in the show notes below.
That's awesome. Thanks for putting those there.
Yeah, of course.
uh, the conversation has been riveting today. I'm really grateful for the opportunity that we had in that evening, on that evening, whatever, to engage in that way with that person. I think the impact of that, I'm not sure that we'll ever know
Yeah,
the significance of that moment. And uh, yeah, thanks for this conversation too. I'm not sure that we'll even have an idea of the impact of this conversation on people. But
yeah,
if you feel like telling us, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.
yeah.
Thanks,
Thanks, Chris.
Kurt.